Alright, hey guys, it's Silverstar, coach of the Atlanta Altarias, here for my very first draft recap. This is the LPFT Season 3. I'm in the Jesse division, and I'm a new player. I have played several draft leagues in the past, but I am new to the Gen 8 format. Speaking of format, the LPFT is I believe it's called Gen 8 Legacy National Dex, which basically means it has, everything. So hidden powers are still legal, pursuit is still legal, and then furthermore, the new moves from the DLCs are going to be legal. So Bulu will have access to Grassy Glide and Play Rough and Close Combat and all those things. So that's a big fear. But I'm going to get right in. I wanted to give you a little bit of format. It's my very first video ever, so I'm new to this whole YouTube thing. So if you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments. But yeah, let's get right into it. The first thing I drafted was Urshifu Rapid Strike. Now, I wanted Urshifu Single Strike, but I was 6th in the draft order, I think. 6th or 5th or 7th or something like that. I was right in the middle, like the worst spot. So I did manage to get Urshifu Rapid Strike, though, which I don't think is as good, but it's super, super cool, and I'm really excited to use it. It's a pretty fast breaker, and I've never, obviously, since I have never played in Gen 8, I've never played with Urshifu. Especially, he's even newer than Gen 8, like the Gen 8 DLC Pokemon, I think. But he seems like he can run a lot of really cool sets, and his physical side of his stats are really good with 100 defense, 100 HP, and 130 attack. Speed being 97 is really good too. I think he can do a lot of cool stuff with, I think bulk up sets seem good on him. I've seen some people use bulk up sets. I've never seen anybody run a Scarf set, but I have to assume that that's pretty good, seeing as the speed is 97, and I think that's a good Scarf speed tier, personally. Life Orb seems good, AV seems good. He seems like he can run a lot of really good things with his signature move being Surging Strike, which is basically a 75 power multi-hitting move. It's 25 base power, hits 3 times, and always crits, and it stabs, so it's really strong. Breaks substitutes, breaks sash, breaks sturdy, all sorts of things, gets around those. And you can't protect on him because of his ability, so Wishmons like Vaporeon, Sylveon, they gotta be really scared of this guy. So I'm really excited about that. Really pumped to use Urshifu Rapid Strike. The next Pokemon I picked up I picked it up more because I noticed it was in Tier 2. And back in Prime Silverstar days, early Season 7, or Gen 7, early Gen 7, Skarmory was always a defensive monster at Tier 1. And I was like, Tier 2? That's wild. I think it's because nowadays there's Corviknight and Celesteela. Celesteela was there before, but I think it's mainly because Corviknight seems like just a better Skarmory. I don't know. But it can do a lot of cool things. Its main thing is just going to be a big wall, and it resists a lot of the things that Urshifu is weak to. Quad resists grass, resists psychic, resists flying. Both are weak to electric, so it's something I'm going to be patching up later in the draft, but I really thought Skarmory was a steal at Tier 2. So I wanted to grab it. It gets a lot of things like Spike, Stealth Rock, Defog, Roost, Whirlwind, so it can be a phaser, a hazard stacker, a hazard remover, just an annoying bulky mon that I think can do really well. Some other things with it is I've noticed I saw in the finals of the last season. So I joined the league, and then I watched a couple of the last matches just to get a little bit of an idea of the league, and then I did some speed tours to get a little bit of idea of how the Generations meta worked. And I saw Corviknight sweep somebody running Iron Defense Body Press, because Body Press is your defense instead of your attack, as the damage calculating factor. So I noticed that seemed really cool, and Skarmory gets both of those moves, so that's a thing I can do. Also, the classic offensive Skarmory set with Swords Edge Weak Armor is a set that I can run. But usually this is just going to be a big, bulky mon that can do a lot of work. So I'm obviously pumped to run Skarmory. I've used it once or twice in the past, but I'm not really experienced with it. But I think it could do well with the sturdy defogs and things like that. My next Pokemon was my Electric Resist, and that is Roserade. I went down to Tier 3 pretty early for this Pokemon. If you see on the side, most people are still picking Tier 2s, their Megas, Some people are even picking tier 1s. But I think Roserade is just, it pairs so well offensively with Urshifu, I think. Both of them are similar speed tiers. The only thing I can see that might be not as good, but it has that, it's a really good electric resist, because most electric types, besides, I think, Zeraora's physical, and Tapu Koko can be physical now because of Play Rough. Not many other physical electric types. It's like Luxray is, but who's really running Luxray? So I grabbed Roserade because it's got a great special defense stat and a good electric resist, and also offensively, I think Roserade is going to be really, really good. From what I can see, Tapu's, because they have access to Play Rough now, and they got a lot of new moves, like specifically Bulu got a lot of new really good moves. I think Fairy types are really good, and Roserade is a Fairy murderer. That 125 special attack stat, dishing out huge sludge bombs. If it's like Finny, a Leaf Storm does serious damage to it. And it's just really, really great. Also, sticking with that Skarmory theme of hazard stacking, Roserade gets Toxic Spikes, as well as it's a grounded poison type, so it can absorb Toxic Spikes. It even gets normal spikes too. I didn't actually know that until I was looking at moves for this team builder. It gets normal spikes that I can put down, which is pretty interesting. I can put down a couple sets of Skarmory, a couple sets of Roserade. Really get them on there. But yeah, I'm really excited to use Roserade. I think it's a really versatile Pokemon. 90 base speed isn't amazing, especially when Urshifu has 98 and Roserade has 90, and I'm not over base 100 yet. But I'm going to try to patch it up with some speed control later. But yeah, it can be bulky, it can be offensive. Two really good abilities being Natural Cure and Technician. In a league where Hidden Powers are still around, Technician Hidden Power is really, really strong because basically it gets me like a... Roserade has okay coverage, not great. It has Dazzling Gleam, Extra Sensory, maybe Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, like Grass type moves and Poison type moves. So Hidden Power basically lets me slot in one more like strong move. So Hidden Power Fire basically is Flamethrower with Technician. Hidden Power Ice is basically Ice Beam. Hidden Power Electric is basically Thunderbolt. So it really helps me dish out some serious damage if I want to run Technician Roserade. Other option is Natural Cure. So I can run like Natural Cure. I can run that if I'm running like Energy Ball. If I'm not running any 60 or lower moves, I can just run that. Also, Roserade is kind of clericy, not like a perfect cleric, but it has Leech Seed and then Aromatherapy, so I can get burns off of like Urshifu and my later mons. The bigger thing is getting like paralyzes off of those mons, honestly. But I'm really excited to use Roserade. My next pick was a mon that I thought was a little bit better than it is. I still think it's a good mon, but I was a little bit misinformed on its stats. I grabbed Slurpuff. Now, Slurpuff, I thought its special defense was like 100 maybe. I thought it was a really good bulky special defensive wall. It's not, but it's still really good bulky Pokemon. And if Roserade's like a semi-cleric, Slurpuff is like a serious cleric. It has Wish, it has Protect, it has Heal Bell. It is really good all-around decent stats. And the big reason I drafted it was Sticky Web. With Urshifu and Roserade being fast but not too fast, Sticky Web can really take them up to that next level where they're outspeeding all the threatening Pokemon they need to outspeed. So that's something I'm really excited about. And I think I had the option to grab something like Galvantula or Ribombe. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think that's how. But seeing as I already had Skarmory and Roserade, I didn't want to be building too much of a fire weakness that I'd have to be worrying about patching up later on. So I figured I'd just grab Slurpuff, stay pretty even. I don't have a poison or a steel type weakness on the in my draft at all yet, so I think Slurpuff was just a nice fit into the team. Also, there's some in Gen 6 when I started playing in draft leagues, offensive Slurpuff was really, really prevalent. For some reason, I don't think it is anymore. I don't know if people know how to play around it better or anything like that, but I don't think it's as prevalent anymore, but I still think it's really good. So in some matchups, I think usually I'm going to be running it bulky, sticky web, so I'm bringing it. But I think in some matchups, it can really shine as like a Belly Drum Citrus with Unburden, or like Calm Mind, maybe Calm Mind Babiri Berry, or something like that, maybe. If I want to run special. But it can, in some niche matchups, I think it can be a really big offensive threat, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, it also has some great coverage, I noticed. I didn't know its coverage was so good. It gets like Energy Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, all sorts of moves, so that's exciting. But my next mon was a comfort pick. I wanted some speed, and I started noticing I had a Rose Raid sort of helps with it, but I still have that electric weakness, so I grabbed Jolteon. Jolteon is such a good Pokemon in my opinion. I've drafted it in tons of leagues, and I just think it's super, super good. I'm new to the LPFT, so they don't really know my playstyle, so I'm going to give them a little sneak peek here. I absolutely love running Specs Jolteon. I think if a team doesn't have a good ground type, or even if they do, if you play it right, Specs Jolteon is an absolute monster. And seeing as Hidden Powers are still out, Hidden Power Ice is still here, that kind of stuff, you really have to prepare for Jolteon as just a fast breaker that gives you initiative, gives you an electric immunity, which Jolteon can 1v1 most electric types, I think, if you play well. Maybe not Coco anymore just because of Play Rough, but it used to be able to 1v1 Coco and also Raikou, which is why I really, really liked it for Tier 3 especially. But it's just a great Pokemon. Sticking with a little bit of that speed control idea, Jolteon is a really fast Thunder Waver. If I have a Pokemon, a really threatening fast Pokemon on my other enemy team, I can run Thunder Wave Jolteon to really neuter that Pokemon. But yeah, another thing that maybe I'm not like known for running this, but I've run it in the past is fast Cleric Jolteon with max HP, max speed, Wish, because Jolteon's in the same evolutionary line as some of the best clerics in the game, like Umbreon. People don't like Umbreon. A lot of people don't like Umbreon, but I like it. But the other one is Sylveon. So it does get those really good cleric-y things, such as Heal Bell and Wish. So being able to Wish and then Volt Switch out of there, so still getting damage, but also getting switched into Pokemon, it's such a cool thing in my opinion. I don't see a lot of Pokemon have that, especially be able to go for it consistently. But Jolteon really can because of that speed set. So it's something that people don't really expect, but I think is really, really a nice niche thing that I can do. Next up is a controversial pick, and it also was a bad pick, I think. I'll just show you. I grabbed Galarian Mr. Mime in round 6. I grabbed it for Rapid Spin. Now, I wanted Donphan, and because I think Donphan plus Slurpuff would be such a good combo, because I get that, like, one of the best spinners and a really good sticky web setter. But Donphan went, I think, in either round 4 or 5. I think it went just a little bit after Slurpuff. So I didn't get a chance to get Donphan, and that was pretty sad for me. But I wanted a spinner, and if I wasn't going to get a sturdy spinner, which is why Donphan is really a good spinner, because he has sturdy, so he can always get rid of those hazards, or like 99% of the time can get rid of hazards. But if I wasn't going to get a sturdy spinner, I figured I'd get a fast spinner, and I wasn't going to go all the way up to Tier 2 for Starmie, because I already had Urshifu as an offensive water type, and Drill was already gone, so my options were pretty limited. But I saw in Tier 4 that I looked up Rapid Spin, and just looked at all the mons that can learn it. And I was like, I grabbed Delmise. Delmise seems pretty cool, but I already had Rose Raid. Yeah. And then I was like, Torkoal, I can maybe go for a Sun team, but then I wasn't going to pick up Venusaur, because once again I already had Rose Raid. So I was kind of like, eh. And then I saw Mr. Mime gets it. And he's Tier 4, so it's not like a huge commitment to pick it up. And it's 100 base speed, which is pretty fast. So I just went for it. And I grabbed Mr. Mime because I've never used it. I've never even seen it be used. I will admit, round 6 was way too early to pick it up, in my opinion. this thing probably, especially with a Mr. Rhyme being in the same tier, that I could have grabbed as well. So I had a perfect backup. It was just a bit. I just jumped on it a bit too much. I think I should have waited, and I'll talk about it later. But I seriously get punished for grabbing this early. But I'll just talk about it. It's first of all, obviously it's a spinner. That's my main reason for grabbing it. But it also gets like some pretty good coverage. It gets like Dazzling Gleam, obviously Psychic Ice Beam. I think it gets Thunderbolt. I think I saw maybe Energy Ball. Obviously still the hidden powers. I'm gonna keep saying that, but I just want to really drive it home that those still exist in this this format of this league. So that's really exciting for me. And it also gets Calm Mind Nasty Plot. And with heavy duty boots, I think it's pretty easy for this to get a rapid spin off because it's not taking that 25% for being an ice type on Stealth Rocks. So that's a big bonus for Mr. Mime in my eyes. And then the last thing I want to talk about with this ugly ice type is that it gets Ice Shard, which it has 65 base attacks. So the odds that I ever run Ice Shard aren't super high, but there's some matchups that I can see having priority ice being pretty cool actually, being able to maneuver around things. So that's something that I think it might come like 1 week, but just the fact that it's there for me to count on is pretty exciting for me. I really like priority ice. Mamoswine is one of my favorite Pokemon. I really like Weavile. So I like that I have the option. But my next Pokemon was one I'm a lot more happy with than Mr. Mime. I grabbed Goodra. So this was when I realized in my draft that Slurpuff wasn't as specially bulky as I thought it was. And I also... So this is where I got punished for Mr. Mime. It might have been Mr. Mime or it might have been Jolteon, but in the same round as one of those Pokemon, the Mega I really, really wanted got taken. The Mega being Mega Altaria, my mascot. It's a super unique, bulky sweeper that I would have really, really liked to get, but I missed out on it. And it might have gone in the same round as Jolteon. I don't totally remember. I'm just going to blame Mr. Mime for it because I don't like him anymore. But to make up for that, I was like, I was really scrambling because now I need a Dragon type. Now I need to think of a new Mega. So I started talking to Sad Machine, I think is his name. I'm new in the Discord server and everything, so I don't totally know everybody. But he really helped me out thinking of a new draft plan. And he said Gudra's still there. And I'm like, you know what? You are right. Gudra pairs super well defensively with Skarmory, seeing as it's a bulky dragon type. And Skarmory's weak to fire and electric. Gudra resists both of those. Gudra's weak to fairy, dragon, and ice. And Skarmory resists all those except ice. So I want another Pokemon that resists ice in the future, but I don't have a huge weakness to it, just not a ton of resist to it. But I'll worry about patching it up in a little bit. But I was like, Gudra does super well here. Skarmory's physical, Gudra's special. It's just a really good combo in my opinion. I don't think Gudra is that versatile. I think it's going to be locked into like the same kind of moves usually. I think its item is really up in the air. You can run Specs, Band. I've seen AV. I don't know why AV because that special defense is so big already, but I've seen it run. Rocky Helmet is a thing on it sometimes. But yeah, it's just a great Pokemon. I was really excited to see it there. I think usually, maybe this is just me being stupid, but back in Gen 6 or 7, it was almost always Tier 2, I thought. So I'm not sure if it's just other dragons got better because of that. It's called like Scale Shot or something, which is a speed boosting attack that a lot of dragons get. Gudra doesn't get it. Maybe that's why Gudra went down because it doesn't get it. But I was really happy to see it in Tier 3, and it seemed like a great pickup for me, especially seeing as it's a grass immunity with Sap Sipper, as well as a Gooey to help stop with sweepers. So really excited to grab it. And I think it goes pretty well with my next pick, which was my Mega. So I grabbed Mega Aerodactyl. After losing Mega Altaria, I was back to the drawing board, like I said, with Sad Machine. And we were looking at Mega Absol, Mega Tyranitar. We were really looking at Mega Charizard Y because it was still there. And I think that would have been good for my team, but the ability to not run heavy-duty boots on Charizard was kind of I don't know. I wasn't excited to pick up Charizard Y, especially seeing as it's just base 100 speed as like Mr. Mime was. But we landed on Jolteon, which is not Jolteon, on Mega Aerodactyl, which was a Tier 1 Mega, so I lost 20 points for drafting it. But I'm really excited to use it. I keep talking about previous generation metas, but I didn't think it was ever that good in previous generations because its best flying type move I think was Aerial Ace, and it usually ran Hone Claws, which is just a net. Running Hone Claws plus Aerial Ace, it basically was just a +1 attack boost because Aerial Ace always hits, so Hone Claws felt useless in that scenario. But now it has two options to help with that. First of all, it gets a way better flying stab, being Dual Wing Beat, which is 2 40 power flying type hits, so basically 80 power. And then it also gets Dragon Dance. So I can run Aerial Ace, Dragon Dance, which is, I feel like it's still giving me a +2 bonus stats instead of just 1 that doesn't really do anything. But I can still run that Hone Claws with Dual Wing Beat and Stone Edge, or I can run Dragon Dance with Dual Wing Beat, Stone Edge. It also got Psychic Fangs, which I'm not totally sure the scenarios you run it. Probably just against fighting types. Although, yeah, flying, I don't know if it's ever useful. But it's another coverage option that's there. And with Tough Claws, all of my physical attacks are so powerful. Aerodactyl, there's not many switch-ins to it, especially after a Dragon Dance, so I'm really excited to use it. But there's not too much to say about it. It gets Defog and Stealth Rocks, but I can't think of many scenarios you use that. Really, it's just an awesome setup sweeper with huge speed and huge attack. My next Pokemon was to help me. I was looking at my draft and I'm like, I do kind of still have this fire weakness going on. I have Mr. Mime that's weak to it, Roserade that's weak to it, Skarmory that's weak to it, and my only resist is Goodra and Urshifu. And I don't really want to be switching Urshifu in all the time on attacks to resist it. And there's some scenarios where Goodra's not going to be wanting to switch in on a fire attack. So I was like, you know what? There's a fire Pokemon I see that is so good that's still there, and that was Arcanine. I saw Arcanine was still there in Tier 2. I think it's because it's Tier 2 and not Tier 3. I think Arcanine is a Tier 3 Pokemon, but in Tier 2 it still does really well. Especially because now in Gen 8 it gets Teleport and Heavy Duty Boots. So its bulky sets are just taken to the next level because it gets Initiative and it's not destroyed by Stealth Rocks. So that's really awesome for Arcanine. And Arcanine has 3 really great abilities. The first one that I think is the most niche is Justified. But I think I'll probably bring it maybe once or twice in the season. There's some teams that I noticed that it can do some really cool things with. Justified basically means if I get hit by a Dark type move, the most prominent one being Knockoff, it increases my attack by 1. So I can take a Knockoff or take a, Sucker Punch or something like that, increase my attack, and then just blast out something like a Flare Blitz doing some crazy damage. The downside of that is I would be switching into Knockoff, not having an item, blah, blah, blah. But it's really cool. It's pretty niche and can maybe disincentivize my opponent. I don't even know if that's a word. My opponents from clicking Knockoff or clicking a Dark type move, which is always good to do something like that. Second ability is Flash Fire, which even better than just a fire resist is an outright fire immunity, especially one with fire immunity plus upside. So if I get hit by a fire type move, my Flare Blitz will do insane damage. Or I could be running Flamethrower if I'm going a special bulky set, something like that. Just a really good ability that is really beneficial to Arcanine. But I think the one that Arcanine is most well known for is Intimidate, which is just when Arcanine switches in, lowers the attack of my opponent's Pokemon. So if I'm against like a Mega Lopunny or something, and I have a hard time switching in, I can switch an Arcanine, get an Intimidate, switch out, switch back in, get a couple things going on. Really force my opponent to make switches because they don't want to be dealing with decreased attack stats. It's just a really, really good ability. And I was really happy to get Arcanine, especially this late in the draft, and I think it fits my team really well. My next Pokemon was a Tier 5 that I noticed. And I noticed my speed tiers. Well, actually, it wasn't like a notice thing. It was like, as I was going along, I knew my speed tiers were bad. And I was trying to make up for it with sticky webs and stuff. And this Pokemon really helped with it, and it was Liepard. Liepard, first of all, gives me a new speed tier at 106, which is a pretty good speed tier, I think. It forces a lot of mons to run Timid instead of Modest or Jolly instead of Adamant, which is what speed tiers are there for. So I was really excited about that. But then Prankster and the Psychic Immunity are the reasons Liepard is really, really good. So first of all, Psychic Immunity, there's always going to be decent Psychic types in draft. And just having ways around that, answers for that, is something that's really important, in my opinion. And Prankster, Liepard takes super good advantage of it. I'm a really big fan of the Tier 5 Prankster Pokemon, so like Illumise, Volbeat, Murkrow, I think, is usually Tier 5, and Liepard is the other one. And I think the little cat guys, Meowstic, get it too. But Liepard was the one that I thought would be the best for my team. I was looking at Murkrow, but that would be 3 flying types, another electric weakness. It wasn't something I really wanted. So I grabbed Liepard. And with that speed stat, it just really fit my team. So with Liepard, Prankster, I could be firing out Prankster Thunder Waves to help me with my speed tier, stuff like that. And then Encores, if I'm against something that's locked in like a Psychic type move, I can Encore it before it can hit like a Fighting type move or something. Also, it gets Torment, which is really good against choice item mons, because it makes them force you to struggle basically or switch out. Also Taunt, obviously, for bulky Pokemon if I'm against them. And then something else I noticed is it gets Prankster Weather, which can be really cool tech. Even if I'm not against a Weather team, something like Prankster Rain Dance against a strong Fire type can just weaken them a lot. It's something that I don't really often see used, but I think it should be used a lot more. And I think I'm really excited to use it a little bit. Liepard also just has good coverage. It gets Prankster Nasty Plot, which is pretty cool. It's something that Thundurus is known for. The genie form. I don't remember what it's called. Incarnate? Thundurus Incarnate. It's pretty well known for that. But so I can Prankster Nasty Plot, and then at 106 speed, not much. I mean, there are Pokemon that can get around it, but it's really good in that scenario, so I can do that and fire off Dark Pulses, Hidden Power, stuff like that. It also gets Prankster Baton Pass, is something I noticed, which is a really interesting tech, which is just flat out better than normal switching in almost every scenario, unless I'm in against a Dark type or something like that. But I can just Prankster Baton Pass, so I can wait for them to make their first move, and then I can make the decision on who I want to switch to. So that's something that's really cool. Also, U-turn if I don't need that Prankster bonus, if there's not something that's really pressing to get out against like that. Also gets Knockoff, Foul Play, and Fake Out, which are 3 moves that are really good tech moves. So Knockoff gets rid of an item, Fake Out can get rid of sashes, sturdies, things like that. And then Foul Play, because Liepard's offensive stats aren't that crazy, but Foul Play is based on the opponent's offense. So it makes Liepard really decent in that respect. And I'm really excited to use this Pokemon. Tier 5s feel so like such a steal for Liepard. And I think it really helps my team a lot in several scenarios. So I was really pumped about this Pokemon. And my last Pokemon, I could get one more Pokemon in Tier 4. And I was looking and I'm like, I don't have a ground type. And I'm also looking for a Spin Blocker. And you know what? There's a Pokemon in Tier 4 that fits that bill perfectly. And it was Palo Sand. Palo Sand is... I was thinking about getting Golurk in Tier 5 instead of Liepard. But I think Palo Sand is just better than Golurk. I know some people might disagree with that. But the specific reason I chose this, not because it's just better than Golurk, but because it got a new move that it can take advantage of Golurk can't. Being Scorching Sands, which Golurk got like Poltergeist or something, which is like a 110 power ghost move, physical ghost move. And Sandygast gets that, or Palo Sand gets that too, but the better one was Scorching Sands in my opinion, which is basically a ground type Scald, which is like, it feels so strong, like really spammable, really good. Obviously if they have a flying type, it's not like spammable, but it feels like such a good attack to be using with a flat 100 base attack, base special attack, ground type Scald. I think it's 70 power instead of 80, but the 30% chance to burn is still there. Just felt like such an interesting thing and something I really wanted to take advantage of. Maybe I was over prioritizing it, but I really think it could do some work against Pokemon. Also, it's just got a really nice bulky stats, plus reliable recovery and stealth rock, so it gets Shore Up. There's a Sand team, so Shore Up against the Sand team is decent. And also, the Stealth Rocks. I have a lot of Pokemon that set up Stealth Rocks. Maybe not a lot, but I have a lot of Pokemon that set up Hazards at least. So getting one more just opens up slots on Skarmory and Aerodactyl and Roserade as well. I don't have to set up Spikes. So that was just something that I thought could be really valuable. And then the last thing on him is that he's immune to those fighting and normal type moves. So like Kangaskhan, I guess it can do stuff. I don't really know what Kangaskhan gets, like knockoff, things like that. Mega Kangaskhan is allowed in this format, which I remember it always being banned before, but it's bad now or something. I don't even know. But it can really wall it pretty well. And it gets Iron Defense, which Iron Defense shenanigans seem like a really popular thing to be doing in Draft League right now. And a lot of my Pokemon get Iron Defense, but I think Palo Sand is one that could do some really cool stuff with it. I don't really want to say what, but I think it can do some really cool stuff with Iron Defense, living certain hits and doing things. I don't really want to spoil sets, but I have some ideas with Iron Defense Palo Sand. But really it was just a spin blocker and a bulky ground type to round out the team. And that's the draft. This is it in its entirety. Looking at the whole thing, I think it does have some weaknesses that I want to talk about. Some strengths that I didn't notice until later in the draft that I am excited about. Really just one strength. I realized, so I have one thing to talk about really at the end, and that's there's a Pokemon that is insanely good that I didn't really know was that good. So I was out of the meta for a really long time, and there's apparently this Pokemon named Dracovish that like rules Gen 8, and I didn't really know that. I was like, 90 base attack, I mean it gets Sand Rush or something like that. And then around like, it went round 1, pick 1. So I was like, well, that's weird. But I didn't really worry about it. I was like, yeah, I get my Urshifu because of that. But then at like maybe round 6 or something, I noticed everybody was picking up all the Storm Drain Pokemon, or like Storm Drain, Water Absorb kind of Pokemon. And I was like, why are you guys doing that? Melodic is still there. Why are you picking Gastronaut? And they're like, well, there's this guy named Dracovish. And they've been talking about it for a while. I just really hadn't noticed that much. I hadn't been like that worried about it. Because I did some speed tours and it was never drafted in the speed tours, but it was drafted here. And it gets Fishish Rend, which is like, it just destroys everything. And I did some calcs and it's like, not even like Scarf or something. Scarf Dracovish is like 50% to Skarmory. So Skarmory isn't really a switch into that, which is just wild. So whenever I face the person that has that, I don't remember who it is. I'm going to have to, it's going to be really hard for me to make my way around it. But an upside of that is that Roserade destroys like all of those Pokemon. It's like Vaporeon gets destroyed by Roserade. Gastrodon, Seismitoad. I don't really remember all of them, but almost all of them. I think the only one that has a chance against it is like Cradilly, but even that takes almost 50% from a Sludge Bomb, so it's not really a switch in. And I think they'll be bringing them against me because I have Urshifu, who's the other strong physical water type. So I don't know. That was a upside with a big downside. So I think looking at my draft, I think it's okay. I think I could do a lot of things with it. But I think a big part of this league is I'm going to have to be doing good prep. Like, looking at the other teams, I think I'm maybe, like, I don't even know, like 6th best, 7th best draft in the league? Maybe not even that. I don't know. I'm not even top 5, I don't think. But I think if I draft really, or if I build really well, I have a chance against some of those teams. I think the Dracovish one is just an insta-loss. But besides those, I think I have a good chance if I play well and team build well. And I think that's just going to be the theme of this this season, is just got to put some time into my team building and really make some good plays, because I don't think my draft is perfect, but I can I can do things with it that can give me a good shot at winning games. But yeah, if you guys want to leave some advice in the comments below, give me some like team building advice, maybe new moves that I might not have noticed, anything new about Gen 8 that I have to be worried about. Leave it in the comments. Please like the video. Subscribe would be awesome. This is my first YouTube video, so I'm not really expecting anything. But I'm going to be doing, I think, a team builder and just a battle video for every battle this season. I think there's probably 11 weeks. And then playoffs. So, yeah, that's it. Leave a comment on other things you want to see, maybe. If you wouldn't be interested in team builder, please let me know, because I know some YouTubers don't do that. I think it would be cool, but just let me know. And that's me signing out.